I am Kayla. I am the founder of Coach by Kayla, or my Instagram handle is Kayla Russell Fitness. I recently just competed in my first FMG bodybuilding competition, and it was absolutely amazing. I am also a online fitness coach, so I work with women at the moment all across Australia, just empowering them to feel better, build healthier lifestyles. Remove that guilt around food and all that sort of stuff to truly achieve their goals. And it's something that I'm so passionate about, and I'm super, super happy to be here. I was always super active growing up. I feel like everyone says that, but I was always super active growing up from being like a little girl, starting gymnastics to doing dancing to then progressing into netball once I got a little bit older through high school and stuff like that. And then you go through the same old cycle. I feel like a lot of young teenagers or young women go through the cycle of just wanting to be smaller, wanting to be skinnier. And that's sort of what got me into the gym originally. It was, I just want to be smaller and, be this skinny little model thing that you see on social media. And I then started to go to the gym and train, and I would have hated to see what my form looked like back then. But that's sort of what got me into the gym. It was just wanting to be smaller. And then that sort of just progressed. And I just found this absolute love for the gym. And after going through a million and one different sort of fad diets at such a young age and really damaging my relationship with food, it was okay, working on how do I change this? How do I now become better? And how can I learn how to feel my body to not just feel my best, but look my best as well?
How was that
Yeah.
initial experience for you getting into the gym?
So daunting. I remember the first time that I walked into a gym by myself, I was like, what am I doing in here? And because I was doing it in high school, I was coming after school. And so the gym was packed with like just teenagers, but then obviously you get like the workers who finish after 5 and who work the 9 to 5. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing in here? And you see everyone doing an exercise, and to some people you'd think, okay, they look like they're doing that correctly. And I didn't have a program to follow, so at the start it was just like I would either like look up a video that was either on YouTube or someone had shared on like Instagram or something, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to follow that. Or I would see someone doing something in the gym, I'm like, oh, okay, they look like they know what they're doing, I'm just going to sort of copy them. So it was really overwhelming, and I was not following any kind of program, and I was just completely winging it. So yeah, super overwhelming. And from, I guess, yeah, that like emotional standpoint, it was like, should I be in this gym? Like, especially when it was just filled with testosterone, really. There were so many guys, there was very few girls. And you're sort of just like, should I be here? What am I doing here? And a lot of the time, I think that those nerves definitely got to me. And a lot of the time, it would be like, cool, I'm just going to stick to a corner. Or I would just use the dumbbells, or I would just do body weighted exercises because that was easier than challenging myself or being uncomfortable going into the actual weight section.
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. How long did it take you to kind of go from like this stage of watching people and kind of pulling things up on YouTube or Instagram and kind of adding them in as you go to kind of starting to feel more confident and starting to maybe come in with more of a plan and more of like an idea of what you're going to be doing when you do get there?
Yeah, it was, yeah, started off really random, very sporadically, and then eventually I would say it probably took me, again, I wasn't very consistent at the start because it was such an overwhelming, daunting feeling. Um, But once again, it was really just social media and it was looking up to people like Rachel Dillon and Lauren Simpson and Hattie Boydell and all of those amazing, like empowering women, looking up to them and then seeing that they're like, okay, you need to be following a structured program. And it wasn't necessarily still being in high school. I was like, okay, cool. Like, can I make my own kind of program? And so I sort of eventually just got like little bits from the people that I sort of followed on social media and made my own program. Um, and I was literally just tracking it in my notes app on my phone. But I would say that again, it's not the most accurate way to be doing things, but it was better at that time than doing absolutely nothing. And it at least allowed me to build some kind of foundation for strength training and learning from them. But it was I probably still have them somewhere on my phone, but I don't even want to know the I guess layout of those exercises or the workout. They were probably all over the place. The volume was probably through the roof as well because I was sort of like I get the structure from those people, but then you would be seeing like the influencers who would just be like doing the junk volume. And I'm like, oh, but they look like they have such great glutes. Okay, I'm just going to go and do 4 sets of 20 of everything because that's what they say. So yeah, I would say it probably took me around like 3 to maybe 4 months to actually get some kind of structure or program to follow. But it wasn't very good, to say the least.
I remember hitting this wall of like, okay, why is this stuff not like, why am I not improving anymore? Like it just going off of like what you're saying, seeing stuff, putting it together, kind of getting an idea. Okay, this is what this specific workout should generally look like, but I don't know necessarily how to, progressive overload or program correctly and things like that. So, after a certain amount of time, you start to hit those plateaus. Did you start to hit those, or did you kind of like learn enough along the way to where you didn't necessarily have a huge plateau and then trying to get over that?
A little bit of both. So once I graduated from high school, it was sort of when the world shut down. And we had lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. So during that time, it was really just me wanting to move my body. And I was doing like all the home workouts. Got into a bit of running, never run in my life. Um, and then it was afterwards, it was like, okay, I'm free now. And at that time in Australia, you're 18, you can drink and all that sort of stuff. So it was sort of like I had gotten to a point where I was like, okay, I actually want to hire a personal trainer. So I was working with a personal trainer at the time and I was following a structured program. I was learning more about nutrition at that point as well. But I was then like completely counteracting all of the work that I was doing because I was just binge drinking on the weekends. I was like, we just come out of lockdown. I was just so happy to be free. I was 18. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm allowed to party now. We didn't have those restrictions and stuff like that. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And it was like, Monday to Friday, I'd be in the gym working on my stuff, like doing everything. And then the weekends, it was just like, that's where I would sort of just like go into the whole like effort mode and just like, I didn't really care. I would be binge drinking. And so I was seeing I was seeing progress, but not happening as fast as I wanted it to because I was just in that young, wild, and free sort of mindset. And then eventually, I would say I did that for about 6 to 9 months post like coming out of lockdown and stuff. And then eventually I was like, what am I doing with myself? I was like, I actually hate waking up hungover. I hate getting to a Monday or even a Wednesday and still feeling like I'm hungover from the weekend. And that's where I sort of was like, oh, I actually do want to change my lifestyle. And that's where it was like, I don't need to do any dramatic changes because I was still Monday through to Friday, like doing everything. I was still tracking my macros. I was hitting my protein. I was, training 5 days a week and I was hitting a consistent step goal. Like I was doing all those right things. It was really just my weekends that were getting the better of me. And that's where I just started to make like small changes where I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm only going to go out once on the weekend and I'm going to be a little bit more strategic with how I drink. And then eventually I just was like, actually, I just hate drinking in general. And I sort of just stopped like doing that. And I started changing how I socialize with my friends rather than, going out and drinking. It was like, okay, cool. Like, can we go out for dinner or can we go on a walk and do all of that stuff? And that's sort of where I did start to see the most progress because it was like, oh, you just sort of change your lifestyle habits a little bit. And that's where I really started to see the most progress. And then that got me into more of like the actual bodybuilding side of things, where I was like, oh, I love this lifestyle. Like, how can I take it to the next level?
Interesting. So it kind of went from like wanting to take it to just like a level of seeing more progress to then wanting to like optimize and maximize that progress kind of through like more bodybuilding, like a more bodybuilding routine, really.
Yeah, 100%. So once I had, yeah, I'd done a big shift with my lifestyle, particularly from those weekends. It was, again, I was like, okay, cool. Like I had done my certs I did one of my certs in school. So in Australia, you've got to do a cert 3 and a cert 4 in fitness to become a personal trainer. So cert 3 allows you to do all your group sort of stuff. And I'd done that in school. So I was like, oh, let me go and use this. Like, I love training. Would I like coaching people? So I did that. And then I was like, oh, I love this. Like, what about one-on-one? This would be so much fun. And then that's when I did my cert 4 to become a qualified personal trainer. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I absolutely love this. And that's sort of how it all sort of started. And then it was like I was living the lifestyle. I was training, I was eating, I was doing cardio, I was doing all of these things. And I never in my mind was like, I don't think I'm capable. Like, I never was like, I don't think I'm capable. And at the time, it was not that I didn't have I had gone through my stages of having a really bad relationship with food where I would restrict and I would binge and all of those sorts of things. But I was like, I just wasn't confident in my ability. And so I was like, okay, like, is this something that I actually want to do? Bodybuilding in general, like stepping on a stage in a bikini, like it is just such a wild thing to think about. And I was like, no, I don't think I can. Like, I would look up to so many people in the industry who were at the time competing in WBFF, now FMG in Australia. And I was like, you are on this different level. Like that could never be me. And then eventually, I don't know, I just like something switched and I was like, what? Like, you're only limiting yourself. Like you're only limiting yourself to what you believe in. If you just keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself and pushing yourself, you're always like, you're gonna show up as your best self. And it was more so like, okay, the competition isn't everyone else, it's just you. Like, it's you versus you. And the only person you need to be competing against is the person you were yesterday or the person you were 3 months ago. Like, just try and be better. And that's sort of how it got into it. Yeah.
Very interesting. So how did you enjoy group training versus like one-on-one working with somebody?
Group training is really fun.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
The environment is really, really fun because you've got the loud music blaring. Like, what usually, like, it was never like in a park or anything like that. It was never stuff I had organized. I was always working with a gym, like a group fitness gym. So it was just like you're in the gym that I was working in was in like a massive like shed. And so it was like old school vibes. Like, there was no aircon. We barely even had fans in there. So in summer in Australia, it was just absolutely horrendous, but there was just something about it. But it was like, I loved just the environment of it. Everyone is so, I guess, encouraging in a way similar to bodybuilding. And it sounds so silly, but from looking back at it, it's like, oh, it actually is really similar. Everyone there in a group fitness sense, in a class, they're all there for themselves. They're not there for anyone else. But it's the group environment of being able to continuously encourage each other and build each other up and all that sort of stuff. I just loved that. That was super fun. In comparison to working one on one with someone, it's obviously very different, but I love being able to work one on one with people because it does allow you to build a relationship with a client, firstly. And most of my clients have become some of my best friends as well. But it's so different actually being able to see how the body does move and being able to, I guess, build up someone's not just confidence, but their strength and all that sort of stuff from a one-on-one capacity. Like I do absolutely love that as well.
It feels like a group class, you would almost be more, like, I guess you would have less sense of like control, right? Like if it's one on one, it's almost like you have this, like you said, like closer connection. You know, you might be talking to them more on a personal level at some points. Was that something challenging for you, knowing like, hey, I know this person's going to come in and work really hard, but I don't necessarily have as much control of what's, maybe going on afterwards, or, some of the other factors that are going to play a big role in their fitness and their health as well.
Yeah, I think that at the start, it was very much like I didn't have much of a structure when it came to my coaching service. So it was like, yeah, okay, like I was just like, yeah, I just want to be a PT. And so I did that, but I wasn't really able to educate that client on what to do like pre and post workout, or how to change their habits and stuff like that. And so that definitely was a bit of a downfall for me. But again, everything is such a learning curve. So looking back, I can see like, okay, this is where I could have done things differently, or I, could have had a different like coaching structure or whatever it may have been. But as I progressed through that, I really made sure that I was educating my clients around, okay, if you're coming into the gym, even if you're coming in the morning, first thing in the morning, let's make sure you're having some kind of carbohydrate in your body. Here's some examples of what you can have. After your workout, let's make sure we're replenishing our body with, replenishing our glycogen, and also, with protein as well to build our muscles up and blah, 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 like educating them around that. And then it was like, cool, let's get into it. Like we would do weekly check-ins as well, and then get into the nitty-gritties of like what's actually happening behind the scenes, like what's happening where I'm not seeing, so I can really help you build this lifestyle and stop you from making the same mistakes that I was doing or that other people are doing as well.
Did it take some time for you to ever like overcome any maybe like imposter syndrome with helping people like to that degree?
Yeah, 100%. I think I still experience imposter syndrome today, but I think it's also so normal as well because the fitness industry is huge, and there are some massive names in the fitness industry. Like, I think of people who work for the Clean Health Institute, and I think of, Lane Norton, and I think of Hattie Boydell, and I think of like all these incredible people. And I'm like, but why would that person want to come to me? Like they're the ones that have way more knowledge than me. But I think as well, just navigating that, it's like there's a reason someone's coming to me. There's a reason that someone is coming and wanting to pay for my service. It's not because I don't know what I'm talking about. Do I have as much knowledge as Lane Norton? Absolutely not. But do I have the education and do I have the knowledge behind me to be able to teach them, help them, guide them? Absolutely. But I don't think imposter syndrome is, I mean, for someone like me, I feel like it will probably never go away. There's always going to be that little bit there. But I think that's more of like, now it's more of that like encouraging thing to go, okay, there's still something you can learn rather than it stopping me from progressing with anything with it, whether it's business or whether it's in the bodybuilding industry and things like that.
I think that's one thing I had to kind of keep in mind is that even though I'm in fitness and it seems like everybody that I follow and that I know and that I talk to knows a ton of stuff, like I'm not talking to the average Joe, right? Like I'm talking to the people that are in it as well. So, I think for me, it was big just to remember that most people have really no clue what to do or any information.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is this is something I say to my clients all the time. It's you want to nail the basics and do the like you want to do the basics and do them right. You don't need to be doing much more than the basics, which is, eating a high protein diet. Like, depending on what your goal is, obviously, if your goal is fat loss, it's a eating in a calorie deficit, eating, 1.6 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, or just double the amount in pounds. It's moving your body more than you currently are, and it's focusing on sleep and strength training. Like those are the basics. Do them and do them well, and you're probably going to see some really freaking incredible progress. But so many people are just uneducated on that. And I think that does stem from probably schooling and stuff like that. And that's a completely separate topic. But people are just uneducated. So being able to just teach them the absolute basics is going to save them so much time within their health and fitness wellness journey, whatever they want to call it.
So, being a coach and just being in fitness in general, I feel like there's so much to learn, but also there's so many different methods and so many techniques and so many different opinions and even new information that comes out every day and all this kind of stuff that there is out there in fitness and health that you could possibly kind of add to your repertoire or say, maybe that's not really for me or for my niche or whatever. So how do you, and maybe this was even something bigger, kind of getting started in helping people, but how do you kind of filter through like, okay, this information really isn't for me. I don't need to worry about it. This information could be helpful, or this information is like in some senses like game changing.
There is so much just, yeah, bullshit online, like so much. And I think that something that has not only helped me as a coach, because like you see things coming out all the time. It's like, oh, this new diet has this has that, blah, 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 blah. Like there's so much out there. I think not just for myself as a coach, but before I was a coach, just reading through stuff, I would always be like, if it's the new, if it's the new and best thing, chances are it's probably not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be something that you can actually do long term. If it's a fad diet, if it's a new thing that has come out, if it's a new exercise, that has like doubled this person's glutes in 4 weeks, chances are it hasn't done that. It's not that one thing that has done that. It's the basics. And that's the thing I think that is so hard to filter back to, because the basics are boring. The things that have been around forever, it's boring. People don't like boring. People want new. And as someone who was a young girl, a teenager just wanting to be smaller and be skinnier, if it was something that I could do and I would get results in 2 weeks, I'd do it. But now that I have the knowledge, if it's boring, it's going to work for you long term. And filtering through that on social media is so difficult. But I would say the number one tip for just getting through that bullshit is to truly just know that if you're seeing something that is going viral, or if it's a new exercise or a new this, it's not new, firstly. And secondly, don't jump on the trends, because the trends are not what's going to be able to not just allow you to achieve results sustainably, but actually be able to sustain those results long term.
I think it's really hard to keep your mind on kind of the long-term picture, but if you can, like it's just it's so much more, the payoff is just so much greater. Working with people that you find that sometimes maybe it's a little bit deeper into, or maybe it's at the beginning where they're like, hey, I saw that if you do this certain thing this certain way, then the results are better. Or, hey, why aren't we talking about or doing this specific thing? Because I've seen people do it. I've seen the top athletes do it, or I've seen it on this certain podcast where they talk about it. Is that something that you ever run into as a coach?
Yeah, definitely. Especially around nutrition, or fat loss exercises. You know, you get the questions of, okay, but like, is this the best exercise to burn fat? Well, you don't get to pick and choose, and the exercise itself is not going to actually allow you to burn fat. It's the calorie deficit. And it's just an educational side of things. But yeah, with nutrition, it comes in a lot. It's like, oh, I think I need to stop. I think I need to, cut out all this sugar. It's like, okay, well, if your entire diet is processed, highly processed sugar, we probably should be reducing that. Do you need to cut out sugar completely? No, you don't. Because you're probably not going to be able to sustain that. You may be able to do it for 4 to 8 weeks, and cool, go on, go on. If you want to challenge yourself and do that, then we can do that. But just know that you're not going to be able to cut out sugar forever because it's not sustainable, right? And I think it really comes down to educating that client on sustainability. And that is my mantra. It's sustainable progress, because I can get you results in 12 weeks. We can make insane results in 12 weeks. But if you cannot sustain those results, you are going to constantly be trying to lose the same amount of weight over and over and over again, and it's not worth it. So it really does come down to that education, I think, for a client. But yeah, I get questions all the time on, should I be going keto? Should I be cutting this out? Should I be doing this? No. Stick to the basics and do them well.
How do you, as a coach, how do you constantly educate in a way that, is and seems authentic, and is like, is it very scheduled? Is it like, okay, I know we're gonna, with this person, we should talk about these things at this certain time, or like, maybe I'll send them some information on this because, they've been talking about it and asking about it, or, how do you just kind of like educate, but not in a way that makes it feel like it's homework, or feel like it's extra work for somebody to do?
Yeah, it really does come down to the client itself and the type of journey that we are on, where they are starting off, and where they want to be. And basically, what I'll do is, depending on where that client is, like for example, we'll use one of my clients who have started with me recently. She came to me under eating very severely, and just had a lack of knowledge, going, okay, less is more. The less I eat, the more I'm going to lose. And was eating just really, really low calorie intake and not a lot of protein. So it was like, okay, cool. What we need to do is we need to build you up. We need to build your calorie intake up because you're not eating enough right now. But we're going to do this in a sustainable way that is slow and steady. Obviously, from her eating, we roughly worked out that her current intake was around 1,000 to 1,200, and for her body and size, it just wasn't enough. So what we did is we jumped up to about 1,500, and we sort of I've educated her and go, okay, cool. So your roadmap for these next 12 weeks is going to look like having a calorie increase, ideally every week, depending on how adherent you are and what's going on. And we'll work through things as we get through that with our check-ins and stuff. But being able to go, this is what your 12-week roadmap looks like, and then just breaking it down for them to be able to go, okay, these are little milestones that we're going to work towards. And then I just sort of like filter the education through that. So with our weekly check-ins, if there is something that they're struggling with, or if I am noticing something that they might be doing in their MyFitnessPal, I'll look at their MyFitnessPal and, see maybe there are, I have clients who in the past, what they'll do is they'll, whether it's they'll restrict their eating at the start of the day, and then they'll eat majority of their calories at the end. And that's just a habit that they have. So it's going, okay, cool. I can see that you're eating, say, 70% of your calories from 3 p.m. to the time you go to bed. Why is that? Oh, I'm really hungry when I get to that point. Okay. Are you eating in the morning? No, I'm skipping breakfast. Cool. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is I want you to have 400 of those calories, and you're going to have them for breakfast. I want you to start eating a breakfast meal, because you're going to notice that your insulin is going to be a little bit more steady. You're not going to feel as hungry throughout the day. You're going to have less brain fog. You're going to have more sustained energy, all that sort of stuff. And then I just filter the education through it. I wouldn't say that I have a strategy, like this is when I educate on this A, B, and C. But within that timeline, within a 12-week time frame, when someone first does start with me, there are key points that I like to educate on. So, understanding how weight loss and weight gain actually works, educating on the importance of protein, recovery, pre and post workout nutrition, steps, all that sort of stuff, sleep. And then outside of that, I guess I have my community page. So on Facebook, I have a community page and we have a group chat that's linked to that. And I'm pretty much on my group chat every second day, whether it's posting a little motivational quote or asking a question, like prompting people to be involved in a conversation, or if it is just something like, if it's a meal that I made and I'm like, oh my gosh, this meal was absolutely delicious, I'll send it through there. I post like monthly recipes and stuff like that, and I do other educational content as well, so that they are not without. Does everyone read that? No, but there are times that I will refer them to that, to go, okay, I want you to sit down and read this portion. Like, for example, I have a MyFitnessPal guide, and being able to go, cool, I want you to read these chapters so you can get a good understanding of what or how to use MyFitnessPal. Or for example, I just dropped a like a mindful sips guide of, obviously going into the festive, like the silly season, there's a lot more social events, people are drinking more, it's just that time of the year. So being able to go, okay, cool, I've dropped this guide, here is, so you can go through, have a look and see what drinks you can have to still enjoy these social occasions, but knowing that they're going to be a little bit more mindful, to suit your goals and keep you on track as well.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout. Which way do you think people are more come to you? Is it more like that aggressive and extreme, or more along the lines of like the slow and steady?
I think initially they come to me with the mindset of, oh, this has to be extreme. But my coaching isn't like that. My coaching is very personalized. So me being able to go, cool, what does your current schedule look like? How can we, if, for example, if someone's going, okay, cool, like I train really inconsistently, I just sort of get to the gym when I can. It's like, cool, let's look at your schedule. Where can you fit in a workout? Even if it's 20 minutes and you do that 2 to 3 times a week to start with, that is better than doing nothing, and then going, cool. Once you start to build that routine and that consistency and have those habits instilled, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to start to do more. And that's sort of what I see with clients a lot, is that they fall in love with the lifestyle because we make fitness and health suit them, rather than just going like you're going from one extreme to the next, because that's where, again, I truly believe it doesn't become sustainable, because you're not able to, you can turn your life upside down for 4 to 8 weeks, but what happens when something has to give at one point? What happens when you get sick? What happens when something happens in the family? What happens if you've got to go, or you go on holiday? How do you learn how to navigate those just things that happen in life? Mm-hmm. And so I think that a lot of the time they come to me and they're like, yeah, I'm going all in, let's go and completely transform my life in a week, to, oh, like I can stick to this. I can see myself sticking to this forever because it's easy, because you've made it suit my lifestyle and suit my goals. So I think that's what the big switch.
Do you have certain things that you do say, okay, if you want to go hard, let's go hard on these things?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the time it's getting on top of their water and their sleep. They are the first 2 things I'll usually go, okay, cool. Like if we are going to, I guess, if you're wanting to go all in on something, like do the things that are going to seem, I guess, the easiest first. It's going to be easier for you to drink 3 liters of water every single day for a month than it is going to be to exercise 5 times a week. If if you're only exercising once to twice a week at the moment,
Mm.
because if you're going to be able to be more consistent with those things. So cool, amazing. We're going to start you on, if you have never trained before in the gym, whatever, let's start you on 3 sessions per week. Awesome, amazing, beautiful. Now let's go hard on your water and your sleep. Get those things, like, I guess, build those habits and build the routines with that, because a lot of the time, if you're on top of your water, you're going to be more hydrated throughout the day. You're not going to be mindlessly snacking on things, when dehydration gets confused with hunger. And then your sleep, better sleep quality is also going to reduce, or it's going to allow you to, I guess, manage your appetite a lot better as well. It's going to improve your recovery, improve your energy levels. So you're less likely to snack or resort to food to try and get, like, a dopamine hit or anything like that as well. And then it's like, cool, okay, can I see that you're doing those things consistently? Or maybe steps or something like that, like, things that are low impact but have, I guess, low impact but big outcome. I don't know, like they have a big effect. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's those little tiny things that people a lot of the time neglect. That they go, okay, I'm going to go hard on training and I'm going to go hard on nutrition, but I'm going to forget about water. I'm going to forget about moving my body outside of the gym, and I'm not going to prioritize my sleep. So it's like, it's usually those 3 things that I'll knuckle down on.
Do you find that most people are pretty responsive after they do start working with you for a couple weeks? And even if they aren't at their goal or what they thought they were going to be at yet, they start to actually notice maybe they have more energy, or they have more, you talk about brain fog. Like, do you find that most people are responsive even if they aren't, like, quote, where they thought they'd be?
Yes. And this is why I do weekly check-ins, is because it allows you to actually go back and reflect. And every week is like, okay, this is where you were last week. This is where you are this week. But again, taking those, like, girth measurements and taking progress photos, a lot of the time, the scale, like, and again, this is where you educate the client on the scale weight. Like, a lot of the time they think that all of their progress is determined by a scale, like the number on the scale. And so by being able to go, okay, cool, your scale weight may not have changed as much as you had hoped, because you were so, it's been drilled into you that you have to do all of these extremely restrictive diets and follow these fads and just see really quick, like, number drops on the scale in order to, feel confident or see progress. Like, that's not just what progress is. Progress is, are you snacking less or feeling more sustained throughout the day? Are you, eating less processed food and eating more whole foods? Are you eating more protein in general? Are you sleeping better? And just being able to truly educate them and show them that you've made a lot more progress than you think is not just empowering for myself, but empowering for them as well, to go, wow, like, just sit back and reflect and go, when you put it like that, I actually have made such amazing progress. And it's progress that they can see themselves making more of, because it's almost like easy, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, of course, like, there's going to be times where it is going to feel hard, whether you might not feel motivated a couple days, or you really are just tired, you've had a big week, whatever it is, and you do just have to really dig into the discipline. But the progress becomes so easy to sustain and make, because it's not the extremes. Because there is such a stigma, I guess, in the fitness industry or in a health and wellness journey around restriction, that when you educate people on doing, and I hate using the words like right and wrong, because I don't really feel that there is right and wrong, or like, you're healthy, you're unhealthy, you're good and you're bad. Like, there is a place for absolutely everything in someone's diet, but it's that education that I think people lack. And so it's like, again, if I can have a positive impact on the people directly around me's life, and then obviously bring that forward into my clients, and then what they are doing having an impact on the people around them, like, that to me is just, like, insane. Because people go, oh, like, oh, you're trying to lose weight, you can eat a bagel. How do you do that? Oh, A, B, and C. And that to me is just amazing. Like we've had friends staying here over the last week with us, and they saw what I was eating and they were like, wow, you eat so much food. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm educated. And this is what I do for a living. I'm happy to teach you. And literally over the last like couple of days, I've been teaching our family friends that are staying with us on how to eat more sustainably and how to, I guess, yeah, eat more protein and all that sort of stuff. And they're like, wow, I love this. This is so fun. And so it's cool that they're walking away with something. But yeah, I think that, yeah, being able to have that impact and being able to spread that impact is amazing.
I really appreciate, you coming on the podcast and talking to us tonight and sharing with us how you do what you do and why you do it. I think that's an important aspect as well. So, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved having this conversation. Yeah, I was a bit nervous at the start, but I loved it. It was amazing, and I'm super grateful to have been here.
If you want to share anything before we head out, any social media, any websites or anything like that, you can do that.
Oh yeah, my Instagram handle is just Kayla Russell Fitness. So if you want to follow me on there, you can. And you can, yeah, just follow my journey, see what my clients are up to, and all that sort of stuff. And if yeah, you are interested in coaching or anything like that, have any sort of questions, you can head to my Instagram, send me a DM or inquire as well.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.